Hey guys, it's Lazy, and in today's video, let's talk about Kingsmarch. If you are playing 3.25, you know that Kingsmarch is one of the best passive farm in the game, giving you a chance at Divine Orb, Mirror Shards, and a lot of miscellaneous currencies like Scarabs, Tattoo, and they all turns into Divine in the end. If you know how to set it up properly, which I'll go into in this video, a few things have changed since 3.25, and I want to share with you my best current setups that I think is optimized for 3.26, since some of the mechanics is outdated and not really worth doing anymore. With that being said, let's quickly talk about what has changed in Kingsmarch from 3.25 to 3.26. In terms of efficiencies, I think most mechanics are now less efficient because the innate levels of the mechanics has changed. Farmings lost the adjacency bonus, and workers only go up to level 5 instead of level 10, which means that they are going to spend more time working and spend more gold to complete their task. Which means overall, in terms of balancings, my opinion is not all mechanics are worth doing because some will just spend a lot of your gold for no reasons. But I'll get into the details as I go through all the mechanics. In terms of recruitments, tough to wrath in town, and you are going to have two options here. We have rerolls, recruits, and reroll recruits with high qualities. And you should always use the 20,000 gold options if you are looking to invest in a long term, because you are having a higher chance of getting level 5 workers. Even when you are starting out, I would highly recommend you to use the 20,000 gold options. Unless you just got to map and you don't have any gold, then it is okay to use the 2,000 gold recruits and try to get the best quality worker as you can. When you are just starting out, when you don't have a lot of gold, then you want to prioritize getting your level 5 farmers as soon as possible. The farmers is going to provide crops, and crops will be considered as like passive currencies because you are going to ship them out later. So get all your farmers to the highest rank as possible. Obviously, while you are rolling for your farmers, you are going to get a lot of other level 5 workers. But in terms of prioritize, I would say getting your level 5 shippings workers is also pretty important for you to do some heavy shippings a bit later. They are going to lower the risk of your shipments, and you don't really need level 5 at start, but it's good to stock up on some level 5 because you'll lose them as you do some shippings a bit later. Any other workers should be equally as important if you are planning to use them. For example, disenchanting, miners, smelters, they are all pretty important. Unless you have some strats that you are planning to test out, I would highly recommend you to just stick to your farmers working at all time and leave the miners and all the others workers to just relax AFK. You can recruit them so that they will be ready to work, but you don't need to pay them any salary if they are not working, so feel free to recruit all of them up to level 5 if needed. But otherwise, pretty straightforward mechanics. Only use level 20,000 gold recruitments, get all your workers to level 5, and you can test them out later. Here's the farm setups that I'm currently using, and I'm using a 2-2-1-1 setups. You can kind of see here I have 2 corn plots, 2 wheat plots, and I'm going to have 1 flex plot and 1 blue xanthan plot. So we really want to prioritize the corn and wheat because they are the premium crops for the 17 million shipments. They are the 2 easiest crops to grow, which will help us reach the cap for the mirror shots returns from the 17 million shipments, which I'll talk about in a bit. You are going to put all your high quality workers in the top 4 plots, and I say top 4, but it doesn't really matter because we don't have adjacency bonus anymore. The next plot is going to be the flex plot, which depending on what you need on corn and wheat, we are going to put it here to balance out the corn and wheat. You can kind of see that I'm running low on corn, so I have less corn than wheat. Then for the flex plot, I'm going to put corn so that I will have enough corn to catch up with the wheat, but I can also swap to other pot as well. For example, blue xanthan if I'm planning to send out the blue xanthan shipments for the divines, which also I will talk about in a bit. Any other crops that is over here, we have auger and pumpkins are meant to fill out the quota only, and I stopped doing quota a long time ago because I think it's not really worth it. So in my opinion, just focus on your 3 main crops, which is corn, wheat, and blue xanthan, and you should be good to go. In terms of value, this is going to be the highest value mechanics you can do to earn currency in Kingsmarch, so always prioritize farming first. There are many recipes for shipping out there, but I'm going to stick to the try and true. And the first one is the 17 million shipments, and this one we are going to send the ship to Ribbenfeld. And it doesn't really matter what port you send the ship to because it's crop. The main thing here is that you want to make sure that you send these ships out with 0 risk, and that means using level 5 shipments workers. So yeah. And it takes about 46 minutes for the ships to come back, and you can expect mirror shards from the shipments. The expected return is going to be 7 to 10 divines, and you also can expect 1 to 3 mirror shards, almost the same level as the 50 million shipments, but otherwise it's much less divines. You can get some pretty good runes in here, but otherwise just straight up currencies. This is going to be my go-to recipes for mirror shards if I'm actively playing and I'm actively farming. The next shipment is going to be the 10k blue xanthanum to Calgar, and it is very important you send it to Calgar port because it has the bias for divine orb. It's going to take 2 level 5 shipping workers and 1 level 4. Send it out, and the expected outcome will be 60 to 70% of divine orb per trip. This is a very good filler recipes, and you technically can also send 20,000 blue xanthanum as well, but it's not efficient. Thus, it's actually not that hard to farm. So in general, 10k or 20k, it doesn't really matter. It is a pretty good way for you to gain divine orb, but I still highly recommend you to focus on the 17 million shipments because mirror shard is going to worth so much more than divine orb at this point in the league. Here's what I do with my orbs, and it might not be optimals. I think if you have watched Sergok videos, I think 4 million is like the capped, and you can send orb with dust as well. I choose to just send out mixed orb bar to reach about 500,000 values in bars. And mainly you want to send out bar because ore doesn't really worth that much in terms of value. And I choose not to send out any dust. But main thing here is you are going to send it to Gakanu port, and you can get back tattoo, which is insanely expensive this league. Plus, if you're looking at the wiki page, you know that Gakanu is probably the best port to send out ore because you get back stack deck, which is also very stable incomes, and overall it is pretty good. The last recipes that I want to talk about is the 50 million value shipments, which was the MVP, the majorities of 3.25. A lot of people have been doing this, and report have a lot of data on this. It's still the most valuable shipments out there, but it is a lot harder to get crop this league. So if you're planning to get to 50 million value shipments, it probably can take you 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on your farmings and depending on how often you play the games. So in my opinion, it is probably a lot better for you to just go with the 17 million shipments, and that's what I'm personally doing, to send out as many shipments for mirror shard as possible, because despite that we still don't have enough data. I doubt GGG would change too much regarding this. So just set up your farms with the level 5 workers, and you can kind of see that I'll show you that it's a lot harder to get crops this league, mainly because we don't get efficiency bonus. So yeah, any of these crops we don't get any form of bonus, we just get a lot less of them. So just send out as many 17 mil shipments aboard as possible. So like you can probably send out 3 of them before you can send out a single 50 million value shipment. So yeah, overall for me, I'm just gonna send out the 17 mil shipments. It's a lot better if you are actively playing, and dusting is not a problem. So let's talk about it next. In terms of dusting or disenchantings, it was changed this league so that it's a lot slower, and generally it's not worth, in my opinions, to do the normal dusting anymore. So let's talk about the T0 and T1 unique dusting. We are going to invest currency to buy these items to get the dust, and we are going to save a lot of gold. So my top 5 favorites T0 or T1 unique dusting with a lot of values. The first one is Rakita Dance. This sword is going to give you 2,700,000 dust, which is insane. It was kind of buffed this league. As well, like a lot of these T0s are worth a lot more now. The next item is Divinarius, and you can kind of see here, if we don't have quality, is 1,700,000. So you always want to quality them up to 20%. It's going to make it worth a lot more. So now suddenly it's at 2,400,000. These unique items are not really cheap, and it's usually 1 divine each. So just think of this as an investment before you're sending out your shipments, which you are going to get back 7, 8 divines, or even mirror shards. Malachi Marks is a T1 glove, which have pretty good value from what I can see in the trade market. So obviously, if any of these items price go up, then you just make the adjustment. Betrayal Stings and Yoke of Suffering is my 2 go-to jewelry options. For jewelries, you are going to need Catalyst to quality them up to 20%, and it's gonna be worth it depending on the price. So for example, 600,000 over here, but I don't have it quality up, so I'm gonna buy some Catalyst later. And Betrayal Stings is 146,000, and it costs only 5 chaos, so it's like the highest value in terms of chaos to dust that you can get this patch. And obviously, if you can quality them up with Catalyst, think about the investment where you spend like 250,000 dust in order to get back a few Divine Orb, and then there's also that 17 million value shipments for Mirror Shard as well. All of this is the investment, which in my opinion is much better to do that this league rather than just farming for gold and then spend all your gold dusting. I want to say that mapping device is probably the least change, and the mapping still have pretty good loots. You want high level workers so that you have better completion rates and you have less chance of your mapper dying. T17 maps have about 1% chance of dying, T16.5 have about 2% chance, and all my mappers are at level 5 and above. And generally, I would say just run T16 at modern maps. Those maps that you don't run is probably best. It is very much worth it if you have the goal to sustain these strategies, because they can cost you a lot of money. So it's about 16,000 per hour. So each of these maps takes like half an hour, and that is 8,000 gold per map. You can easily sustain that if you are playing the game yourself. And if you cannot sustain that, obviously you should give priorities to your farmers. Farmers doesn't cost a lot of gold, and but yeah, if you're actively playing, just run maps. Obviously, don't run T17s, don't run T16.5, and only give your mappers T16 and modern maps. That should be profitable enough. And the higher chance of completion rates, the better loots you are going to get. With that being said, this has been a really fun league, and if you are actively playing the game and still playing, definitely don't neglect Kingsmarch. It is probably one of the best way for casual player to farm and get mirror shards, and each of mirror shards is worth a lot of divine, so it's still going to be one of the best casual way for you to play the game and earn currencies. So good luck with your shipments. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.